Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson Number 1. Our topic is rational numbers. First thing I want to do is I want to remind you that you should have the key concept at the start of the chapter in your notes. You should also put that on your goal sheet there, that Venn diagram. We will talk about that in class. Example number 1. We have 5/8 and we're supposed to turn the fraction of 5/8 into an equivalent decimal. The easy way to look at this is think of a fraction as 5 divided by 8, or 5 divided by 8 here. Do the math. I recognize that most of you are going to just put this in a calculator, and I'm going to be real upfront and tell you go right ahead. That is okay with me. I do want you to understand the concept, but I recognize that everybody has a calculator right there on their cell phone or one with them at all times, so use it. 5 divided by 8, and you should get 0.625. I do want to point out that I want you to get used to writing these like this with the 0.625. It draws attention to the decimal point by putting the 0 out front. So that's example 1. Example number 2. We have negative 1 2/3, and we have to turn that into a decimal. The way I would do this is a little bit different than the way they did in the book. They turned this into an improper fraction. I wouldn't bother doing that. Really, all you need to turn it into a decimal is that part of it right there, because negative 1 is real easy. It's negative 1. It's going to be negative 1 point. Now all we have to do is take the 2 divided by 3. We should get to the point in 8th grade that we see 2/3 and we immediately think 0.6 repeating. I want you to work on memorizing some things in mathematics. It makes things a little bit easier, but you can also put it in a calculator. 2 divided by 3, you get 0.6 repeating, and don't forget to put your repeater bar, and of course remember that it is negative. Please do letters A through D. Example number 3. He had 175 hits out of 530 at bats, so we simply do 175 divided by 530. Again, in a calculator, you're going to get 0.33018, and they have additional decimal places there. I stopped after that because they asked us to put this to the nearest thousandths. This, of course, is your tens column, tenths. This is hundredths, and this is thousandths. So we are going to round to that digit there, which means we need to look at this one. Since it's only one, we're going to round down and leave it as a 0. So his batting average, we would say this as 330 is his batting average, but it's really 0.330 or 331 thousandths. 330 is his batting average. Please do letter C. Sample number 4. We have 45 100ths. That's why it's nice to learn to look at numbers like this and say that that is 45 100ths, not 0.45. 45 100ths, write it as a fraction, 45 over 100. I can see easily right away they're both divisible by 5, and I get 9 over 20. Example number 5, I have 0.5 with the 0.5 repeating. Pay really close attention to the explanation of this, because I want you to notice something that you can memorize and therefore turn these immediately into a fraction just by looking at it. The process for this is to say, okay, let's let n equal 0.55 repeating. Okay, so then you can say 10n would be 10 times that. So we move the decimal point to the right, and we have 5.5 repeating. So now we have 10n equals 5.5 repeating. We can subtract n from this side, and we get 9n. But on this side, remember we said let n equal 0.5 repeating. So instead of subtracting n, the actual letter, we're going to subtract what it's equivalent to, and that gets rid of all this here, and we just have 5. So now we have 9n equals 5. Real simple. Divide both sides by 9, and then now we have n equals 5 over 9. And I'm going to leave it as 5 over 9. I want you to give me the answer as 5/9, not 5 divided by 9 in a calculator. That's what this is right here. But now I want you to take a note. Notice that we had 0.5 repeating is 5/9. So I suspect that you have an idea there, and I want you to check it in your calculator. Check 6/9 in a calculator. Check 7/9 in a calculator. And you're going to make a discovery that there's a real easy way to do these. It's a memorization. And lastly, example number 8 is very similar. 2.18 repeating. And write that as a fraction. Well, I'm going to do this differently than the book did. The book turned this into another improper number, and I say, wait a minute, let's just bring the 2 down here. I'm going to have 2 and some fractional answer for the 0.18 repeating. So I let n equal 0.18 repeating. Therefore 100, because I have two places here, I'm going to go 100n instead of 10n equals 18.18 repeating. Subtract the 0.8 repeating from this side, subtract n from this side, and now I have 99n instead of 9n equals 99n divided by 99 is n. 18 divided by 99, again, I don't want you to make this confusing. I want you to leave it in a fraction. 18 over 99, they're both divisible by 9. In this case we get 2, and in this case we get 11, not 10 if you saw me check it there. So it's 2/11. So it's 2, and this part here is 2/11. Again, I want you to see if you can come up with some idea here for how you can find these more easily, and we will discuss this in class. Please do letters F and G. Chapter 1, Lesson 1, Solutions to the Letter Problems. We'll start off with problem A. We are supposed to turn the fraction 3/4 into a decimal. We should know this immediately, but I'll go through the procedure. It's 3 divided by 4, 3 divided by 4. Do the math. Go ahead, use a calculator if you have to, but it is 75/100ths, 0.75. Problem letter B is -2/9. That means we're going to take -2 divided by 9. Again, I want you to use a calculator, and I want you to notice something here. This is the part of the thing that I was bringing up before about, do you have an idea here? And you should notice that -2 over 9 is -0.2 repeating. So it is -2/9 equals -0.2 repeating. And you should see a similar pattern there with any number over 9. Letter C. We have 4 and 13/25. Now the book says turn it again into an improper fraction. I say that's not necessary. Move the 4 over to here. All we need to do is figure out what 13/25 is. We can do this one of two ways. There's an easier way than this, like they showed you in the book. 13 divided by 25 in a calculator, you get 0.452. I realize that's very easy, but let's say you didn't have a calculator. Well, in order to put this in hundredths, we would have to multiply this by 4, so simply multiply 13 times 4. Many of you can do that in your head. 10 times 4 is the 40. 3 times 4 is 12. 40 plus 12 is 52. So it's 52 over 100. 4 and 52/100ths. Lastly, letter D. We have 3 and 1/11. So it's going to be 1 divided by 11 equals, and we're going to carry the 3, so it's 3 and if you put this in a calculator, you get 0.09 repeating. So again, you get 0.09 repeating, and I want you to think about it, whether or not you get an idea here, and I believe we will come back to this one in a little while. Problem letter E. 6 of 36 races he won. So that's 6 of 36. Would be 6 divided by 36, put it in a calculator, and you need to take this to the thousandth place again, 10, 100ths, 1000ths. So we go to the second 6 here. This 6 rounds that one up, so it's 0.167 or 167/1000ths. And then letter F, we have -14/100ths. Again, we're going to turn it into a fraction just by reading it. We know it's 14/100ths, and it's a negative. So the first thing you want to do is move over to your magic answer box here, and remember, remind yourself you're going to have a negative answer. 14 is even, and so is 100, so we'll divide them both by 2, and we'll get 7/50, or -7/50ths, and that's as far as you can simplify it. Lastly, letter G. We have 27/100ths repeating, 0.27 repeating. So I want you to think about, do you have an idea here? And what you should start to recognize is that when it's one digit like it was with 0.5. We just put the 5 over the single digit 9. When it's 2 digits, like it is with 0.18, we put the or we put the 1/8 over 9/9, 2 digits, and then of course we had to simplify to get it to 2/11. So lastly, with this one, you should see that you're going to put it over 99. And just to verify that that is in fact the case, in other words, what I'm telling you, you don't have to do any math here at all. You just have to remember anything repeating, we can put it over 9, or we can put it over 99 if it's 1 digit or 2 digits. Put it in your calculator, verify. 27 divided by 99 is 0.27 repeating. And I want you to try that several times. In fact, I want you to try this one. Try 685 over 999. Do you get 0.685 repeating? Check it. It's kind of interesting.